All right, first, so we will start off here. So I'm Natalia. I am the university recruiter at Datadog. I just joined in July, so very much a lot of like onboarding and everything through Zoom. So excited to be meeting y'all through Zoom as well. I know we've done a lot with Northeastern over the years, and excited to continue that partnership. So, Amy, you want to introduce yourself next, and then Christine.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Amy. I'm a front-end software engineer on the dashboards team, and I joined in June, but I also did an internship at Datadog last year as my co-op. And I graduated from Northeastern in May 2020 as a computer science and design combined major.
Christine?
Hi, I'm Christine. I graduated from Northeastern in May 2019. I previously co-opted at Datadog in 2018, and I'm an open source software engineer on the agent integrations team.
Cool. So just kind of what to expect today. I'll very quickly go over some details about Datadog, just in case you don't know what we do. It might help as you're doing the data visualization to actually understand what we do. Then Christine and Amy will walk you through some steps on how we visualize data at Datadog. So again, if you just joined, go to this site so that you can follow along on your computer at the same time. I think it'll be easiest if you can do like side by side so that you can like see the demo on one and then work through it on the other. For any of you who are potentially interested in working at Datadog, I'll give you a quick rundown of what to expect if you want to apply, and then we'll do a Q&A, really open to anything, whether it's about some of the things that you just saw happen with data visualization, if it's about what it's like to intern or start as a new grad at Datadog, what it's like to be in tech, open to anything. So cool, that's what to expect. Little bit about why we were founded, kind of our mission. So our co-founders were both engineers. They were working at a company together where our CEO was leading the development team and our CTO was leading the operations team. They kind of noticed that they were hitting some roadblocks here and there where DevOps was pretty siloed off. So they wanted to build something that was more collaborative, that brought their teams together and overall made engineers' lives easier. So they founded Datadog in 2010, started selling our product in 2012. Since then, we've grown quite a bit. We've since shipped 10 products. We're 2,000 people. We IPO'd last year and are really continuing to grow. We're still working with the same mission of having one product, one platform, used by everyone and deployed everywhere. And then just what do we do? So we are a full stack monitoring service that gives developers the ability to see inside any stack, any app at any scale, anytime and anywhere. We're providing a product made by engineers for engineers. So we're really understanding kind of the obstacles that they hit and really trying to solve for those. We also use our own product, so really building something that our engineers are excited to work with. We give our customers visibility of their infrastructure's health and then help them to find any bottlenecks to see how efficiency can be improved. It's basically a comprehensive monitoring solution that can turn kind of a mess of an infrastructure into digestible information like metrics, logs, and more. I typically like to compare it to like if you are coding by yourself, you can quickly find any bugs. If you then scale that to a group project, you don't really know the context. It's a little bit harder to troubleshoot. And then when you scale that to a 100,000 person company, it ends up being hours and hours of time that you're trying to troubleshoot. So then we've got a few screenshots, so we'll kind of dig into this in a bit, but this is our app analytics feature. It allows you to track queries, logs, and traces across different environments and data centers. You can see here that you can kind of filter based on what you're looking for. This is our service map, which shows what services are talking to what. So here we're digging into metrics query, seeing how many requests per second there are, any latency and errors, and you can see exactly what those are tracing to as well. And then here you can see like how we visualize data from all across the platform, and it's all made in one place to really make those correlations too. And these are dashboards, so you can really like drag widgets, you can create a custom board so that you can really see the things that are most relevant to you as the customer. So that's just kind of quick overview. I will now pass it on to Christine for the hands-on demo.
Well, give me a second. Okay, so if you've created a trial account, then you can kind of follow along from the student dev pack that we linked in the chat on Zoom. But once you get started, just to give you an overview of how you can start monitoring with Datadog is starting with Datadog Agent. The agent is an application that you would install on a server or a container or even your laptop. And from there, we can start to monitor our services. So if you navigate to integrations and you navigate to agent, you'll be able to find our installation instructions. We support all major platforms, and I'm using a Mac right now, so I would use a one-line install, and I can install this from my command line. Alternatively, you can also download the DMG package and install it that way and manually insert your API key. So once we have that started, a way that you could double check that the agent is running Datadog agent status. So with the status, I'm able to see the version I'm running, which is 7.22, as well as the different Go Python versions packaged within it, and the host information, which is like my computer name, as well as any integrations that I have running. These are some integrations that are running by default. To give you a perspective of how many integrations Datadog supports, we support over 350, including cloud integrations and web integrations, as well as databases, configuration management, orchestration tools, and logs tools. So with any of these, some of them you can configure within like our like your AWS services, or you can download the integration itself, the agent itself, and configure the integration on your machine. So now that I have the Datadog agent running, I can also show you the web UI. We support this for Mac and Windows, where you can, instead of relying on the terminal, you could open this in a browser, and as well as and view your status, what you're collecting, as well as configure your integration. And one of the, and some of that we can find here. They're about 200 agent-based integrations that you can configure from one agent. Cool. And then to give a perspective of our infrastructure, infrastructure monitoring, once you have an agent installed, your host is picked up. For my example, I'm not going to show you my settings because my API key is there, but I did put in a tag called test NU for Northeastern, and then this pulls up my host. So this is my laptop with the agent configured. I just named it 4Cs, and I have a few integrations already enabled, including the agent running, and it also picks up the other integrations that I have configured or monitoring from my agent. And once we're all set up in that regard, you can individually run a integration. Let's say we want to see what metrics we're collecting for CPU. It says our metric samples from the last run, we have collected 7 metrics. So if I run Datadog agent, I can see what metrics I pull in standalone. So for example, I'm getting system CPU, number of cores, I'm getting the value 4, and then it can tell me that, okay, from the single check run, what it's collected and submitted. So to give us an example of that, we can navigate to the Metrics Explorer and view what we've collected. So my metric system, CPU, num cores. And I can filter by test NU, which is my machine right now. And I'm able to see that that's what's being reflected. My value is what is being collected by the integration. Cool. Now, moving from this, we can also navigate to preset dashboards from Datadog. And we can filter by system metrics. And we can view system overview. And this is a default dashboard that we provide for our customers so that once you get started with Datadog, you can immediately find dashboards that display and visualize your metrics. You can clone this and edit it as you go, which Amy will show you how we can further visualize the metrics we're collecting outside of the defaults that Datadog has supported. And one cool thing is that we can filter by scope. So this is across the entire account, which is shared by different people, but I can also filter by my test NU tag. This allows us to customize, we provide custom tagging so that you can further view, dissect your metrics, where it's coming from, where the sources are. So in this example, I've tagged my entire agent. So all metrics emitted from my machine will be tagged with test NU. We can also further individually tag integrations that we have configured so that specific instances that we're monitoring or specific teams or use cases can have their unique tags so that you can really drill down on what you're monitoring and your entire infrastructure. Cool. Amy, do you want to take over with the dashboard?
Yeah, sure.
Did anyone have any questions before? Cool.
All right. Yeah, so I'm just going to take over from the same place where Christine left off on this integration dashboard. So what we can do is clone this dashboard to make it editable.
Amy, did you freeze? I think Amy's frozen.
Yeah, I think my internet connection is like unstable a bit right now.
It looks like it's somewhat loading and we can hear you, but.
Okay, yeah, I think my internet connection is like unstable right now, unfortunately.
Okay. I can continue.
Let me try again.
Okay.
Doesn't everyone love working from home and having great internet? Christine, if you feel
I'm
good
sorry.
about, yeah, don't worry. Christine, do you feel good about taking it to the next?
Yeah, I can take over. Okay. Whoa. Cool. So yeah, I'll clone this dashboard and then we can, rename it for like test NU WIT system metrics. And from here, this is now my standalone dashboard. I can make it even more specific by enforcing that I only filter by my tag. So this is my specific machine. I won't see anyone else in my organization. So this will just be my standalone metrics. Cool. So what we're looking at here is a time board. What's really interesting about this is that as I move my cursor, you can see that across my system load, IO wait, CPU usage, system memory, all my metric graphs are correlated by time. So if I'm observing, let's see, network traffic spiking here, my bytes sent spiked around here, I can also view exactly what's happening from other metrics on my system. I can go even further if I have other services I'm hosting on this, such as like, you know, if I'm hosting like a web app or a website from my machine, I can kind of narrow down exactly if this is going to cause any issues, if this is correlated to anything else that might alarm me. We can go further with metric monitoring with monitors. And we have various monitors that can be triggered based off of, oh no, okay. Based off of whether your host is up or down. So is my agent still reporting into metrics? Metric values, if my CPU percentage surpasses a X amount percent, I want to be notified immediately because that concerns me. Anomaly detection using data science and analysis, we're able to sort of predict irregular behaviors from the metrics that we're collecting. And we also have, event forecast logs, outlier detection, many different types of monitoring. So going back to our dashboard, I can edit this time board, and we have various widgets here. So we can create a group, drag and drop. Oops. And I'll just call this rename group as system metrics. And then within this group, I can then further categorize my metric graphs so that I can actually make this more diverse. I can monitor my system, I can monitor my logs, and they can all live in their separate groups so that I'm not overcrowded with metrics that I don't necessarily want to see right now, especially if I'm investigating something outside of my system performance. So these line graphs are called time series graphs, but we also support query value. So to show you an example of query value, we can get system IO util percentage, and we can group from average by host. I'm already filtered. So then I can group by my host and save that. And so I now have a last value of my metric. Some other data visualization types we have is a host map. So this might not. So we can look at how many hosts are present, monitored by CPU usage. We can also choose a palette. Green to orange usually makes sense. We're currently filled by system CPU percent. What? Oh, here we go. What's happening? Okay, this is fine. Oh, give me a second. Going back to the host map, we can fill by CPU usage, or we can change to whatever colors that make most sense to you. And as well as select the various, whatever metrics you want to monitor all your hosts by. In my case, I'm filtering by test NU, so there wouldn't be as many hosts. And alternatively, we also have like top lists. Top lists can tell us exactly how many users, how many host or whatever tag that you're filtering by, ranked by like either the highest value or the lowest value, whatever that you want to be taking, either the average, the min, the max, or the sum of.
Thanks, Christine. Sorry about that.
No worries. Do you want to take over, or you want to add anything?
Yeah, sure. I could just like tell you some widgets to add, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just going to demonstrate how you can like visualize the same metric in like different ways, and you can gain different insights from it. So if you want to copy and paste the IO wait widget, so if you hover over, you can Command C and then Command V.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then edit one of them. So say if you want to average by host. So like a time series gives you a sense of how the metric changes over time. But say if you wanted to change it into a top list, and we have the same metric, but you can visualize it as like a breakdown of the hosts and see which host is like has the highest IO wait time. Yeah, so that could be one example. Or I see you already added a query value, or was that already there?
Yeah, I did. I added a query value, and yeah, I just added a query value so far.
Cool. Maybe we can like make a table out of network traffic. So if you like copy and paste it again and edit it. Yeah, and like maybe add another column that's like a roll up by like maybe host again or device.
Okay, system.map bytes.
Yeah, so
Roll up
actually
by...
if we, oh sorry, not that column, if you keep scrolling down, here, group by host. And now instead of just like 2 time series lines, similar to a top list, we get a sense of like which host has the greatest like network traffic. Yeah.
Cool.
And then like another way we can kind of change the dashboard a little bit if we want to add groups. It's a way of like organizing. Oh yeah, I see like one already exists.
Yeah, sorry. Yep, I already added a group for system metrics and emphasized that better visualization, customization for your personal view.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Cool. All right, so once we finish editing, anything else you want to add, Amy?
I think that's it.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for taking over.
No worries. So going further from a dashboard, I think we kind of showed this in the slides, but if I want to, let's say, investigate this increased IO wait time, I can click onto this graph specifically. I can send a snapshot to my team. I can find correlated metrics that we think may relate to this issue, basically any other anomalous behaviors from whatever else on your host that might that has also changed around this time frame. And we can also view related processes, hosts, logs, traces, and profiles. So we can give you a quick view of what that looks like on our logs product. So here, we can filter by specific log messages, specific services, different hosts, or even certain time frames up here. Before I clicked in at a specific time. So now I'm marked at 5:59 to 5:59. So within that 1 minute time frame earlier today. I can view the various colors, like blue means info, red means error. I can filter by my services. I can filter by the host that's emitting these metrics, as well as statuses. So let's say I only want to look at status, an error status, because that means something bad is happening and it's reflecting in my logs. If I click into a specific message, I'm able to see what the timestamp is, which host, service, source it's emitted from. We can tell that this is Kubernetes. So we have different container names, Docker image names, as well as the pod name, the different tags for the ID of the container emitting this log, the error message, and we parse the error message to properly reflect the severity of each log line and correlate any information. So here we can see event attributes. I don't have any for this specific integration, but it also from the logs we correlate your traces, which is your application performance, and your metrics here. So I'm able to see from the logs as well, what my CPU usage is, what my load averages are, the memory breakdown, available swaps, disk latency. And this is just to help us further narrow down any issues that we encounter. And so with this, Datadog allows you to monitor as well as prevent and investigate issues within your application or infrastructure. Cool. Natalia, do you want to take over?
Yeah. Any questions on any of the things that y'all just saw?
I have a question. So this was kind of for the logs. I remember at my last co-op, I forgot which specific AWS service we were using, but one of them had like really awful logs. I think it was ECS. So for this application's logs, would that kind of like display it in a more helpful way, as well as give you better insights into kind of what was happening?
Yeah. So for us, every integration, we definitely investigate so I'm on agent integrations team itself. So we also do support logs when we are looking into monitoring a specific like third-party software. When it comes to logs, we do write our own parsing for it. So we do have to analyze logs ourselves, like with our own eyes, and kind of figure out the patterns that those logs are emitting. And then we can create things that we call facets. And that allows us to extract certain parts of the logs that we can use to filter by, and to take those values to actually mean something outside of a message. So for our ECS logs, we do monitor AWS logs. I believe they're all emitted via like CloudWatch. So it's a separate team that handles how those logs are parsed. But in our app, it will be easier to query any messages, any error statuses, or error codes, rather than looking at a single log file. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
No worries.
Any other questions? Cool. We can kind of get into like general application process, things like that. Feel free to come up with other technical questions or other general questions that you might have. I'm just going to share again. Okay, cool. So if you are interested in working on interesting things like these and much, much more, we do have opportunities in software engineering and in product management for interns and co-ops. We'll also have a product design co-op posting soon. I would say within the next couple of weeks, that'll be coming up. For full-time, we are also hiring software engineers there too. If you have specific questions about an opportunity, you can definitely just ask the group of us during Q&A. You can also send me an email, which I can share my email in the chat in a second. We also have a form that you can fill out if you just want to like express interest in a specific one and make any comments that you have, which will be more specified for like this event specifically. This is just the interview process. So for interns and co-ops, you'd submit your application on Datadog's jobs website, which I'll share out on the screen in a second. A recruiter will review your application, and then you'll do a one-on-one technical video interview. That'll just be with one of our engineers, and then we would go to offer from there. For full-time, kind of similar first couple steps, you do a video call with a recruiter before you go to, and that's mostly just kind of getting to know your past experience, what you're looking for in your next role, and then obviously giving you the chance to ask questions about Datadog. Then we go to technical video interview, one-on-one with an engineer. We do a take-home assignment and then a virtual on-site before we go to offer. So that's kind of the process. Definitely want to open it up to Q&A. These are also links that I will copy and just share in the chat so that I'm not just looking at myself and I can see all of you. So I'll share this in just a second. Any questions?
This is for Christine and Amy. What things did you guys do throughout your college career that you think helped you to be successful in computer science? Or maybe like a takeaway that you would offer to maybe new students in computer science that maybe have never coded before?
Yeah, I would say like specifically if you're interested in front end, I think like some great projects were like working on a personal like portfolio website, and also there are some like great student organizations. Like I was part of like NUWIT is great. There's also like ACM and like New Hacks, and then I was also part of Scout, which was the student-led like design studio, and I was a developer for them. So I got a lot of experience with like React and like working with clients in web development in general, since like Northeastern doesn't teach you a lot of front end development in their classes.
Yeah, I didn't have any prior coding experience before attending the computer science program at Northeastern. So I would say definitely take advantage of the various workshops, hackathons hosted in Boston, because it is like its own little tech hub now. There are definitely a lot of opportunities to because sometimes working on personal projects can be very intimidating and harder to find that balance. But I found that like attending hackathons or even taking a course that's known to give you sort of that freedom to develop something that you care about or something you're interested about is a really great way to develop your skills and learn something hands-on instead of limiting it to just what the professors or what your curriculum is.
Awesome, thank you. Also, everyone feel free to put your questions in the chat as well if you don't want to speak out.
Also, if you want it to be private, you can just send it to me and I won't call you out on who you are.
What's your day-to-day look like? Like what kind of technologies do you work with? What skills are you expected to use on a regular basis? And what's your experience like at Datadog? I think that's like 3 questions, so you can pick and choose whichever you prefer.
Yeah, sure. So the first one was like day to day.
Yeah, I think it was skills that you use regularly, like skills or technologies. And then, yeah, day to day.
Yeah, so I would say like my day to day as like a full time is actually pretty similar to what it was like as an intern. So every morning I have stand up with my team, and like once a week we have like planning meetings where we kind of like figure out what we want to accomplish in like the next week or like sprint. Um, yeah, and I think it really depends on the product or like what project we're working on, but usually I spend like a decent amount of my day like uh, I would call it like focus time, mainly like working on coding, and then uh, we also usually have like a couple project like check-ins as to like how a feature is going. Yeah, and in terms of like skills, um, my main tech stack as like a front end is React, and like a little bit of Python. Um, Yeah, and since I work pretty closely with the product, I do talk a lot with designers and product managers to kind of like discuss um, a way forward. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, my day to day, my team is fairly distributed across the US and Europe. So my it's not as like too similar to Amy's in that we don't have like a daily stand up together, just because time zone wise we can never really find the time because there are some other meetings that like take precedence over stand up. So we want to take advantage of the few hours of overlap that we have. So most of my mornings is syncing with my team, whether it's planning or we have a lot of things that we call cafes, which is, I think it's like a very French influence, where in the Europe time, it's like their 3 p.m. and their afternoon tea time, sort of, or coffee time. And that's when we kind of have a placeholder every day at the exact same time. For me, it's 10:30. For them, it's 3:30. And we can talk about more in depth with technical challenges that we're facing that might require cross-team collaboration, or just sort of everyone needs to be on board or be able to have a full discussion outside of email or Slack. And for me, my afternoons are always free because that means most of my team is offline by then. And the few teammates I have in the US time zone, we're fairly collaborative, and a lot of us were remote already. So when this COVID happened and kind of like our workflow changed, it wasn't too much of an adjustment because everyone is really fairly easygoing with hopping on a Zoom call or collaborating like anytime without feeling that you have to like set up a meeting in order to discuss a question. And what is the other question? What skills?
Skills and
okay.
tech stack, I think, too.
Okay, so my tech stack is mostly Python, occasionally some Go, and some skills that were kind of important is my team is open source, so we do collaborate with a lot of our open source contributors. The agent integration and the agent itself are both public repos, so we do get a lot of really passionate users that are contributing or fixing bugs that they've encountered, or even adding features that they want to see in the product. So since it is very collaborative, we do work very closely in having very productive conversations over GitHub or email, and having that sort of connection with our users.
I think last question was what is it like to work at Datadog too? I think like this is one that I can answer because I'm not working with the tech stack, but y'all can also add in what your experience has been like. I think as far as starting a new job, especially thinking about everything that's going on right now, we set people up really well for success with really strong onboarding where like you're not just going to be meeting with a variety of people on your team, but also with different teams that you're going to work with. No question is dumb, which I think is really cool as you're like kind of looking for your first role or first few roles, whether it's an internship or full-time. There is a really good place for like your mentor, your manager, your buddy, anyone that you want to go to in your support system to really help you out, whether you need like some code reviewed or you just need to bounce ideas off of somebody. It's very much like, I feel like people here are very open and excited to be working on what they're working on. And I think y'all can speak to this a bit more since you have interned and started as a recent grad, but I would say like the amount of responsibility and autonomy that we give to our like engineers and PMs and designers, really anyone at the company, is huge. You're not just going to get like, here, take this project that nobody wanted. If you're not working on it, it would be somebody at any level who would be working on it. So, and definitely try to like take your interests and passions into account too, because we want you to be working on something you're excited to work on.
Yeah, I can definitely like vouch for that from my internship experience and full-time here. I've always been asked what I wanted to work on, especially in a new quarter. And our managers have always been really good about sort of finding those projects for us that are either skills we want to learn in the future, or is just something that truly is interesting or new.
Yeah, I mean, just like echoing what Natalia and Christine said, yeah, my manager has always been very good about like taking account like the skills, the specific skills that I have and like what I wanted to work on. And also like it's been really great to work at a company and like where software engineering like is a focus. So it's not like say like another company where like BA engineering is like the side. So like your concerns and your like your work does feel really important, which is nice as a software engineer.
Anyone else have questions? Cool. I will kind of close it on a happy last question. What is your favorite memory at Datadog?
One of my favorite memories was our holiday parties. Every year, like since my team is very distributed, I don't get to see them on a daily basis in person. So around every 3 months, we either travel to Paris or my team comes to New York, and we spend a week just sitting together and collaborating like a normal team would if they were in the same office. And then the holiday party is just like a added fun because everyone gets to like dress up and like go to the past 2 years was at the Museum of Natural History. So it's like the night at the museum, except with your coworkers and your teammates. And they do make it really fun. There's like live performances and games and just a lot of like team building activities that every team tries to like plan for team building. But yeah.
Yeah, the holiday party is definitely a highlight. I think my favorite memory was probably like our first party pups when I first joined as an intern. It was succulent and sushi night. So like they invited some like sushi chefs to come to our office and like make a bunch of sushi. And then there was also like a DIY succulent table and like a bunch of interns that started at the same time we were all like getting to know each other and just like it's a very wholesome time eating sushi and making cute succulents.
Party Pops are our monthly company-wide events. But yeah, thank y'all for joining us. One quick plug, like if y'all want to get to know Datadog a little bit more, whether that's like a specific interest you have, we've got our open house on Thursday, which the link is in the chat. I'm trying to think. I would say like there are some workshops that are going to be more technical. There are some kind of general like what is the cloud and intro to Go and things like that. So kind of depending on your interest, there are a lot of different sessions. You can come and go as your schedule allows. So we'd love to see you again. Yeah, anything else before we go? Cool. Thank you all for spending the last hour with us, and hopefully we'll see you around soon.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.